Welcome, decorators of the interweb. It's with sad regret that today I'm doing a video I never thought I would be doing. And you're going to go, Phil, what is this video? I can tell you, people of the interweb, decorators of the interweb, painters of the interweb, this video is for you if you don't know how to paint a door. And I know there's a good number of you who don't know how to paint a door correctly. And the reason I know this, because I watch Instagram Reels, I watch TikTok Reels, and I see these so-called decorators, so-called painters. I know they're not painters and proper decorators because they don't wear any overalls. They're in jogging bottoms. That's another story. But I know they're not a painter and decorator because they don't know how to paint a door properly. They're starting at the bottom. They're starting at the bottom of a door and working up. I've got no problem with somebody using a roller. I've got no problem somebody using a sprayer to paint a door. What I've got a problem is where you're starting, because you're starting at the bottom and it's wrong. So today, it's a Saturday, I've got myself a door, no expense spared, no expense spared. I've got myself a door and I'm going to show you the correct terms of what each part of the door's called. I'm going to show you how to paint it correctly, textbook painting, because you know I've been to college, you know I've got my advanced craft sitting gills. Yay. I can tell you how textbook painting of a door is. Then I'm going to show you actually how I can paint a door that isn't the textbook but is the way you should be painting a door, and I'm going to tell you all about that in a minute. So cue the music, let me get my camera set up so I can show you what I'm doing, and then away we go. Right, what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to show you a couple of things before we get started. The paint I'm going to use, because we'll get this out of the way first. This is a brand new door, it's never been painted before. I'm just going to use some Bedeck MSP paint, which is your multi-surface paint, goes over anything. For the purpose of this video, which is just a demonstration video of painting a door, I'm just going to use this. It's an acrylic based, water based paint. It'll go on nicely because the door's never been painted before. It's got that grey whitish colour to it, so if I'm using this, well, soft white from Bedeck, it'll show up well, so I can get across what I need to show you. So that's first things first, that's the paint I'm going to use. If you were going to do this on a job, I'd probably recommend using, depending if you're using oil-based paints or water-based paints. If you're using water-based paints, these doors are quite a dark colour. Always find something like a Dulux acrylic primer undercoat is always a good one to blank out this colour and then work off of that. Water-based paint soaks in nicely. This is just one of these cheap 30 quid doors, 30 pounds doors. Got a bit of a wood grain to it. Egg box. There's nothing complicated about it. It's a basic door. So an acrylic based, water based primer goes on nicely. If you can get the coverage, brilliant. If you're spraying it, it's not going to be a question. You'll know what you're doing with that one. We'll do another video another time about spraying a door. This is going to be my sample door now. You're going to see quite a bit of this door in the next few months. But for today, I'm just going to show you what I've got. I've got that paint. I've got my paint already tipped out. It's in a proper traditional metal kettle. Somebody commented on one of my other videos about, oh, you should be wiping your kettles out and wiping your rollers out, roller trays out every time you use it. No, you don't. I've got enough kettles, I've got enough roller trays. I can let them dry off until the next time that I come to use them. And that's why you don't wipe out and wash out each time. There's no need, no point, don't waste your effort. Kettle, paint, I've got brushes. We're going to come on to brushes in a minute. Let's talk about this door. I'm going to put you on a tripod because my arm's aching. Let's get you on the tripod. I've got my little assistant here today just helping with the tripod. Right, let's clamp that in. If you can just move me up, assistant. Right, you get me in. I'm going to stand back. Right, I think we're secure. Right, I've got a door here. I'm going to bring you in closer in a minute. But I've actually labelled up all this door with the correct terms that you need to learn, because like college, this is YouTube college. These are all the terms of the doors. It's nice to know. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go through these, show you what they all are, and then I'm going to show you how you paint it. So let's bring you a bit closer if I can get you closer. Let's start with the top. Now this is going to be a bit of a flip. Let's bring you up. Hold on. There you go. Right, I think you're going to see it back to front on, but you'll get the idea. Right, we've got a 6-panel door. Can you see me? Yeah, we've got a 6-panel door. These panels, I've marked it, that is called a panel. The bit around the edge, that's called the moulding. So you've got a panel and a moulding. There's 6 of these, because 1, 2, and then they drop down lower, all the way down. Let's see if we can get you spinning around. So we lower and lower. Panel, panel, same principle at the bottom. You see, panel, panel. A bit awkward. So this is really good. Right, I'm going to flip you off the tripod again. It's a bit easier. I'll spin you around, see if I can do you on right hand. No, you probably can't see it. So there we go, look. Got a panel, got the moulding. Panel, moulding. Right, so we're alright with that. Across the top, that's called the top rail. So you've got a top rail, you've got a freeze rail, this is dropping down. You've got a middle rail or a mid rail, and then right at the bottom you've got obviously a bottom rail. Right, so you've got bottom, middle, freeze rail, you see, then you've got a top rail. So we're understanding it so far. Oh, brilliant, sun's coming out. Look at this. So that's that. Right, these sections, this is a mullion. A mullion, I know it sounds like something you drink or something you mullion. So this is your top mullion. This goes in between the panels. That's the top mullion. If you're a joiner, you're going to know all this. If you're a decorator, you should know all this. Now, depending on which internet search engine you use for googling names of doors, and the autonomy, if you want to call it the autonomy of the names of a door, you'll probably get different terminology, but the basic principles are the same. Top mullion, you're dropping down to a mid mullion, and then if we've got a mid mullion, come down to the bottom, you've got a lower mullion. Does that make sense? Right, the edges. Well, I was going to say what they actually were, but it's a style. We call these the styles. So come back, full door. These all move top to bottom at the edges. They're called the styles. Now, one style is going to be different to the other because you're going to have a lock style. Can you see where the door furniture is, the door lock? On some doors, that's more of a solid band of wood going across there because this is where they'll be drilling out for the locks. So this style is called the lock style. That style is the hinge side, which is the hinge edges. Have we got you? Have I lost you? Have you turned off? Have you moved on to YouTube videos about Fortnite? Probably you have. So right, basic. You've got panels, mouldings, you've got mullions, you've got top rails. Now you're going to ask me, Phil, how do we start to paint a door like this? It's not difficult, but it is to some people because I've seen you starting at the bottom and working up. I've seen you doing panels and doing mullions, styles, all in the wrong order, and it's like somebody's killing. It's like somebody's killing and giving Chinese burns to fairies. It just really hurts me. You've got to get this right, people. Right, so I've got a marker pen here. I'm going to show you what order, textbook, this should be done. Got a different marker. Right, when you come to do a door, right, your first part of the door that you're going to paint, this is red, is your moulding. So that is your first part of the flat of the door. Now somebody's going to pick up on this straight away and say, first part of the door that you need to paint is the edges. I know that, but I'm telling you the sequence of this door. So if you want to pick up on that, brilliant. I'm going to tell you which door edge to paint then. So depending if the door's opening towards you, the door's opening towards you, say this handle here is opening towards me. Let's go around here, around here. This is the edge that I'm going to paint because this is opening into me. Right? If I was opening the door into a room opposite, obviously it's the hinge edge. Now when it comes to architraves, that's another one altogether. Right, if you're doing the hinge edge, you're painting the hinge edge of the frame, architrave of the frame. If you're painting this lock edge, i.e. the edge that's opening towards you, you'll be painting the top part of the architrave frame, going across, can't get it on my camera, and then down. That's another one altogether, we're not talking about that. So let's start. Right, you've done your edges and you're coming to paint the actual door. First part of the door you're doing is your mouldings. So you do all the mouldings. You do all the mouldings as a first thing. So you do moulding and then panel. And panel is your 2. You do 1, 2. You come over here, you're going to do 1 and you're going to do 2. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm dropping down, doing all your mouldings first. 1, then you're doing your 2, your panel. 1, 2 across here. 1, 2, marking them off. So we've done 1, 2, 1, 2, coming down. So we're on to panel 5. 1, what's that? It's called a moulding. 2, panel. Across here. 1, moulding. 2, panel. So we're straight with that, are we? Panels, yeah. Mouldings, yeah. So you're doing top to bottom, panels and mouldings, but you're doing the actual moulding first. Right, textbook teaching would tell you to do, and I'll mark it off as textbook teaching. Your next part to paint, the 3 is your top mullion. 4 would be your mid mullion. 5, we'll put that there, 5, lower mullion. Then you come back up to the top, you do 6, top rail. 7, freeze rail. Coming down to this one, so this is going to be 8, look. 8, middle rail. And then bottom would be 9. You see, 9. And then you finish with your styles, whether it's the hinge side style. So we're going to go, done 10 is there, and then 11. And that's what they'd be telling you to do. Right, 1 to 11. Does that make sense? That is textbook. Can't hold the camera. That is textbook. What you'd be taught at college. This is how you'd be doing a door. Mouldings, panels, and then coming down your mullions. Do your mullions, then your mid rails, freeze rails, that order, and then finish up on your styles. Does that make sense? What I'm going to tell you how to paint a door when we turn it round, I don't do it like that, because it all comes down to wet edges. And if you know what I mean about a wet edge is the part of the paint that you're not working with that could be drying off on you. So the secret of painting a door is reducing your wet edge down, time down, and that's what I'm going to show you. So I'm going to put you on the tripod, I'm going to spin the door around so we've got a clean door to paint, and then we'll go on to that. So I'll just turn you off for now, and I'll say see you in a minute. Right, so a little bit complicated when I was with you last because I was holding it. So the idea is you do your mouldings first, mouldings and then your panel, and you work your way, mouldings, panel, all the way down. And then mullion, 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 top rail, freeze, mid, bottom, then finish up on the styles. That's the textbook way. Can you see me all right? Textbook way of actually painting a door. I'm not going to do it like that. I'm going to show you another way to do it that is equally as good, if not better. Now, you can probably see on the camera that I've just lifted off the door from the floor. Now, if you're in a house, I would say stick some lining paper or some of that Cortex card or newspaper under your door before you start painting it. Still have your sheets down, but just put some newspaper under, because you might work your way around the house and take one sheet with you as you're working on a door. So you have a piece of newspaper, you'd have your sheet. Once you've done that door, you work your way around. Now notice the door furniture. Take your door furniture off. As a decorator, you'll probably come across houses that have got some very unusual door handles. You might not want to take them off because there might be daft grub screws underneath. There might be a grub screw, or there might be a little screw that you can't get off. So either tape it up or do something with it that you don't get paint on it. Right, so turn my door around. Just propping it on that piece of paper. Now, notice the door handle's been taken off. Hope you can hear me all right. Before I start, just putting my overalls on. All professionals, you know what I'm like, all professionals need a proper pair of overalls. You get them big enough to go over your jeans. Then at the end of the day, you take them off, you get in your van, you're not getting paint everywhere. Some don't do it like that. You know, I'm too old school. Away we go. Duster brush. Dusting off. I'd already done that, so don't need to worry. Right. I've got a selection of brushes. I've just got an inch brush. I've got a 2-inch brush, and I've got a 2.5-inch brush. Now, this 2.5-inch brush is lovely. It's from Eco-Ease. It's a eco-friendly brush. Really like that. I would use this for all of the door, but for this purpose of the demonstration, I'm going to use an inch brush and a 2-inch brush. The inch brush is just a Axis blue bristle, nothing complicated about that. But interestingly, this 2-inch, these are Wick's own brand, and I really like Wick's own brand. They're about £11 for 3 in a pack. They've got a lovely soft tip bristle, and it's lovely for laying off, particularly with water-based paints. Enough of that, no sponsorship here, it's just showing you what I've got. Kettle of paint, got the paint in there, not too much. When you're painting, take your paint from one side of the kettle, like, can you see that? One side of the kettle, none of this slapping it about either side. One side of the kettle, wipe down from one side of the kettle, then you're not going to get paint all over you. Right, so we're starting. What are we going to do? We'll start with this. You see me on camera all right? This is all live. Painting all that rail, all that side lock. This is the actual side lock edge. So don't forget, if you've got knots in the wood, go over the knots with some shellac knotting. You can either use shellac knotting bin, that's also shellac based. If you want to be really professional and clever, you can either use aluminium leafing primer, that's good for stopping knots, or if you've got money, no object, you can use gold leaf, real gold leaf. So I'm coming down, try and be as quick as I can. We're coming up to where the latch is, so just carefully cut in around the latch. You're seeing that, carefully cut it in. Nicely doing it, one, in plenty on. Can you see me alright on the camera? Am I too far away? Can you hear me alright? Can you hear me? Just getting neatly around that lot. No paint on the actual latch. Done that. Finishing off at the bottom. Again, this is just an inch brush. Just finishing that off, making sure it's nicely covered. Not putting too much on. Don't forget, this is the first coat. This is only like a primer coat. There's a bit of mist is there. Just dab it in where a dog's chewed it. That's nicely done. Make sure there's nothing missed. Right, we're alright with that. Right, we're coming back to these panels. Now this is me painting this door. I've told you about Mouldings panels. We'll start with that. I'm going to move away from that inch in a minute. I'm just going to show you an inch brush. Do the mouldings first. Always start with the left, bottom, right, and then top. So I'll do it as quick as I can for you. Getting into that grain, really scrubbing it in. I'm putting plenty of paint on that now. And the reason I'm putting plenty of paint on is something I'm going to show you in a minute. Plenty of paint, doing all that. Not laying it off yet. Oh, see, I'm getting plenty of paint on. I've got to show you something. Doing that, getting plenty of paint on. Putting it on in a crow's nest fashion, that panel. Wipe my brush down, get the excess paint off, lay it off on the panel first, then lay off your sides. Now what I want to show you is, just wiping my brush down, nothing on the brush. Now if this was oil based paint, this would be really critical what we're doing. All this round there, where I've got excess paint on the panels and the style, on the wood, is called a wet edge. So what you've got to do, wipe your brush down, next to nothing on it, the heel of the brush where there won't be much paint on it, knock that back, scrub it out. See that? I'm scrubbing it out. And what I'm doing, I'm taking any fatty edges off that door. It's just scrubbed out now. That will dry off and not leave me any fatty edges. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right. I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. I'm dropping onto that 2.5 inch. I'm going to get rid of my inch now because I know what I'm doing. I'm doing exactly the same, but I'm going to be quick with it. Plenty on because I'm going to lay off in a minute. All the way around. Well, don't forget, this is first coat. All the way around. Crossing it. Wipe my brush down so I'm not putting any more on. Lay it off. Lay around the sides. Heel of the brush again, not much paint. Knock all that fatty edge off. Now once you get into this, you'll know how quick you can do a door. You'll know how much to put on. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm putting plenty on, so I'm actually getting more on than I actually do normally. So down to this panel now. So we're still doing the mouldings and panels first. Moulding. Still doing the moulding. If I was in a customer's house, obviously it'd be a bit neater. I need to show you what I'm doing. So putting plenty on. Putting plenty on. Still working from one side of the kettle. Can you see me right on the camera, cameraman? Thank you. This is YouTube life. Once you get so many subscribers, you have to employ a cameraman just to keep an eye on all the technologies. It's going to cost me an afternoon at the roller skate park though. So we're coming across the top. You see what I'm doing? I'm making sure I'm showing you loads of wet fatty edges. See these drying off. So I'm putting the paint on, not too much. You can see I'm putting it on that way, moving it round, moving it round. Put it on crow's nest fashion, all over crow's nest. Quickly lay it off that way, brush it out, and then up and down. I've not got too much paint on my brush. Wipe it down, around the sides, around the edges. Look, making sure you've not got any runs, making sure you're laying off properly. Wet edge, knock it off. Knock that fatty edge off, look. So you've not got fatty edges of your paint drying onto your actual main door. Bit of dust. Right. Sides. Right, so side. See how quick we can do it. Side. Down. Up. Lovely paint, it's covering lovely. Work from the rear of a painting. Never work from the front, work from the rear. Never work out a painting. When you're tipping out, just work from the rear. Right, let's get this on. Across. Making sure these corners, making sure you get your paint into the corners. Scrubbing it in, making sure it's there. Laying it off, up and down. I know I've not got too much paint on my brush, so I can lay it off. Right, wipe it down, scrub it out. No fatty edges. Scrub those fatty edges out. You see me right now? Right, bottom ones. Scrubbing it in. We're nearly at the bottom, look. I have to say, this paint seems lovely. Right. Brushing it on all over. Right, lay it off. Lay it off, look. Right, wipe your brush down. One side of the kettle up. I'm still working on one side of the kettle. Get these fatty edges off. Nothing's going to be a fatty edge. Moving across to this side. This. Getting it all on. We're nearly ready to start at the top and work down. Always be mindful of bristles coming out your brush. All the way around. So making sure I'm showing you loads of fatty edges on that edge. Scrubbing it in. As you know, as a professional painter and decorator, because I've told you I'm a professional painter and decorator, I won't be doing it as quick as this, slopping it about. I'll be a bit more careful. Lay it off, up and down. Right, wipe your brush down, one side of the kettle. Fatty edges, you're knocking them all off. Right, lovely. Now if you can see me alright, can you still see me alright in the camera? Remember what I told you, if this was textbook, you've done all your panels and you'd be expected to do that as your next section, then that, and then that as your next section, then finish up on your stars on the side. I don't work like that because I need to keep a wet edge going. I don't want to have that painted, that wet edge there and there drying off while I'm doing that and that. Does that make sense? If that doesn't make sense, please put comments. So I don't want to do that and that. By the time I've got down to the bottom, these edges are all drying off, because they would do. It's not too bad with water-based paint, but if you're using oil-based paint and glosses, when you start coming back onto yourself, it doesn't always blend in. So I'm going to show you now, am I better this side or that side? Can the cameraman tell me, am I better this side? Yeah, I'm better this side. It's giving me the nod. So what I'm going to show you is how I do it. So I won't talk through this too much. Right, I'm still starting with that. Right, you remember what that's called? Anybody? Yeah, that's right. So I've done that one. My next one I'm doing is across here. And can you see, I've neatly cut it across. Now, all these edges around there have dried, so I'm not going to get it flashing. So make sure when you've got a door in a house, you've dusted the top off. I know that's clean. Right. So the only wet edges I've got at the minute that's classed as a wet edge, that's classed as a wet edge, and that's a wet edge. So what I'm going to do now is get these wet edges out of the way. So I'll bring part of this down, part of that, bring that one across. Lovely brush for cutting in across there. I'm going to bring that across. You see, I brought that across. Nice. You know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to start bringing these down. I'm going to start bringing the sides. It's one side done. What's going to happen now? I'm going to bring this side down. These wet edges haven't dried off too quick, look. I'm going to come down to the door furniture part. So, look, bring it all the way up. Put in just beyond where the screws are. Put them down. Again, not putting too much paint on. And I'm laying that off as I go. So my next section, I'm going to bring that back in. So I'm dropping down, bringing that back in, because these wet edges are still wet. They've not dried off on me. So I've done that. Same with that one. Bring that in. And I'm using my brush like that. Bringing it across. Bringing it across, look. So which edges are wet still? Wet edge, wet edge, wet edge. These are lovely. These are wet edges. They've not dried off. You see that? Flow them in. Across, across, across. I've only got little areas that are wet edges. So I'm bringing this down. Now this is where it gets interesting, and this is where I've seen people do it wrong. Starting at the bottom. You see how far I've stopped? I've just stopped there. I've stopped short of the bottom of that rail. I'm going to bring this one down into there. So the last section of this door will be literally across the bottom. That's that. Finishing off this style here. This is the lock style. We're bringing it all the way down to the bottom. All the way down. Now the reason I leave this as last, because where could all the fluff be? Carpet, sheets, could be still fluff around here. So if you do this last, you're not going to contaminate the rest of the door or your paint with loads of fluff. So we're all there. Wet edge, lovely. Still wet, we've still got wet edges. There's nothing drying off. Bringing that bottom rail all the way across. Bring that bottom rail all the way across. And if you've got newspaper down or lining paper, you can actually go onto that slightly. And this is the 2.5 inch Eco Ease. Well, Eco Ease, it's called Eco Union. Sorry, it's Eco Union, they've just changed branding. So bringing the bottoms in. I've got no dried off wet edges. That's it. Let's get you off the camera stand. Flip you around. So does that all make sense, everybody? I haven't done it textbook. I've done it the Phil Beckwith Professional Painter and Decorating way of painting a door, so you've not got wet edges drying off on you that can cause you problems. Now you're going to say, what problems are you on about, Phil? If you're new to painting and decorating, you're probably only using water-based paint. Water-based paints can dry off on you a bit quick and you won't see fatty wet edges. But if you're using oil-based, oil-based glosses, oil-based undercoats, oil-based eggshells, more so with the eggshells, if you've got a wet edge and it's dried off on you, you can see there, and then you try to come back into itself to try and make it flow, it's dried off too quick, and you'll find that the wet paint that you're putting on goes over the paint that's drying off, and you get a flashing effect. And flashing is where you'll see, when you look at a door, you think, oh, somebody's tried to touch a door up when it's dried. It's that sort of thing. So if you don't know what flashing is, I'll comment below and I'll explain it a bit better. But what you don't want is flashing on a door. If this was a flush door, go back a bit, if this was a panel, one panel, I'd do same principle, work in sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd still do it in panels on a flush door and then come to the bottom and just finish the bottom of the door off in one. So don't try and do it all in one, top to bottom in one, just do it in a section. Section there, section there. That's a normal panel flat door. Now if you've got a glass, if these were glass, do your mouldings first, knock off your wet edges so they can dry, so you're not going to have any problem when you come back to them. And then same principle again, tops, bottoms, you've seen it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 we got to. So that is the door being painted. I'll just spin round. See, I did the edge first. I don't class that as one, because that is something you'll do. That is the first part you'll do. But when we did the 1, 2, 3s, that's on these panels. So we're all alright with that. Have I explained it? Have I made it too complicated? Because I know there's going to be some of you that probably work contract on new builds and you'll say, Phil, I can whip round on these mouldings with a 3-inch brush and then go top to bottom with a sheepskin roller and paint it faster than that. I'm not interested in speed, I'm interested in quality and the finish, because it's not about speed. If you said to me, how do we price a door, let's call it a door and frame. To me, a door and a frame, I'll allow 30 minutes a coat. You're going to say you can do it in 15, I know you can. 30 minutes, that's what I'd be billing. 30 minutes. If this is a door that needs 3 coats, frame, obviously we've not got a frame and a door, doing properly, would be an hour and a half. You're going to say that's too much. Well, depending on what you're charging an hour, think about it. You've got your prep, you've got your door handles to take off, your door furniture. Half an hour, by the time you finish, you're probably not far wrong. I know, probably paint that door in 20 minutes. I've done this video, what are we, 20 minutes into this video, and I've been talking to you. I'll probably paint that door in 10 minutes, talking to you. But you've got to think about your pricing. Round all your times up, half an hour to an hour. A door and a frame, allow half an hour. So if you're £20 an hour, what's it going to be? £30 for a door and frame for 3 coats? If you're £30 an hour, think about it. So for now, that's it. Let's call it a day. I've shown you how to do it all. Thumbs up, comments, anything else. Job's a good one. Thank you very much for watching.